Welcome, tennis fans, to the 39th episode of Tennis Traverse, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I'm your host, Ivy J, and in today's episode, I'll be previewing and overviewing the Roland Garros, which is the second major that's coming up. Before we begin, please follow all of my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, using @TennisTraverse, that is @TennisTraverse. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. It will help me a lot. And let's get right into today's episode. So before I start, I do want to preview that this one is going to be on the shorter side if I don't find myself to talk a lot, because normally I say that it's on the shorter side, but in the end I just talk so much and it just overtakes it. But I feel like this one's just going to be on the shorter side because I have something to do tonight, so I'm kind of in a rush a bit, and I just feel like this episode is going to be just a brief overview since the Roland Garros draw haven't come out yet. So I just figured that this is just going to be a brief preview, and the next episode, by then the Roland Garros draw will be coming out and we'll be all on our way to week 1 of the tournament. So then I will have all the draws and all the matches analyzed out for you guys, so that will be next episode. And I guess this episode is just not as specific, so if you're a beginner who just want to sort of dip their toes in to tennis, I guess this is a great episode because I will be giving a lot of just some basic information about tennis and the different players. So yeah. There's one more thing, which is that I have a newsletter. I've been saying this enough times, but if you want, please go subscribe to me on Substack, and there will be an email that's going to be delivered to your inbox at Sunday 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will cover just stuff I talk about in Monday's episode. And I do want to mention, last point, it's just that I acknowledge that there is the Rome Open going on, which is another big tournament. I didn't talk about this last episode. I talked about Naomi Osaka and Rafa Nadal's return, but I still don't feel like talking about it this episode, but just want to point something out. So basically, Iga Swiatek won the final. She's the number 1 seed, number 1 in the whole world on the women's side. She beat the number 2 seed, which is Aryna Sabalenka, easily with a score of 6-2, 6-3, and this happened today. So in my opinion, this is sort of okay, both of these tournaments, both on the women's side and on the men's side, it sort of symbolizes in my mind what will happen at Roland Garros, but I feel like I want to talk about the women's side first. So I'm not going to go too deep in Rome because I feel like it sort of have a similar tone to it compared to Madrid, where it's both the top players advance to the final. But I want to talk about Roland Garros and just make a few points about the women's tournaments there. So Roland Garros, in case you guys don't know, it is the clay court tournament, and it is a second major. So there's 4 majors in a year if you guys want to. I have an episode previewing all the majors, all the 4 Grand Slams. So if you guys are total beginners, feel free after you finish this episode or just click off and listen to that episode first and then come back, or you can finish this episode and go to that episode. But majors are just the most important tournaments of the year, and this is the second one. So I would say we're at our halfway point, but this tournament is going to be really, I feel in a way, just focused on the top seeded players, because I don't think that any of the lower ranked players will create a stunning upset, just because while there's sort of a tone to WTA and ATP. So WTA is known for its lower ranked players to suddenly upset higher ranked players, and for ATP it's sort of the way you play is sort of based on the rankings. However, I feel it is flipped in this tournament. As well, another reason that played into part of this is that this is only the second major, and by US Open, which is the last major, normally players who are ranked higher, they're super exhausted just because of playing much more tournaments, so it's really likely to see some upsets. But I just want to talk about the top seeded players and why I feel there wouldn't be a huge upset. The only upset I can see is on Shabar because she just haven't been performing well. But however, I feel like she's slowly finding herself again on clay. So I really don't have someone that's like a player which, you know, is like in a way that's really beatable if you're ranked high. And Iga, she's coming in really, really hot to Roland Garros because, okay, she have a lot of, she have 2 Roland Garros titles and they're 2 in a row. So she has 3 Roland Garros. They're 2020, 2022 and 2023. So she is looking for her 3rd one, and I think she's looking for her 3rd one in a row and her 4th title. Sorry guys, I'm not here, but I think it's going to be quite an easy journey for her because as we can see from both Madrid and Rome, which both Iga participated in, like the results are quite just, I feel like, representative in general of how I feel like the Roland Garros will play out. In my mind, I just feel like Iga is going to dominate and just beat everyone in 2 straight sets, just like how you guys doing here. However, I just feel like maybe something will change because at Rome, even though like in final she played against Aryna Sabalenka, which is her I would say biggest opponent just because she's ranked number 2. However, even though Iga didn't drop a set, her set against Coco Gauff in the semifinal, especially the first one, was super, super competitive. And she also played against Kerber, which is an incredible player. She won the first set 7-5. So these are like the 2 most challenging sets she played in Rome. And in Madrid, she actually lost a few sets. So she lost 1 set to Sabalenka in the final, and she lost another set to Bia Haddad-Maia in the quarterfinal. I guess this is like sort of, you can take this as a good thing and a bad thing. You can take this as a good thing because it just shows that a lot of players are indeed challenging Iga. However, on not a bad thing, I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but on like a part that's like beneficial to Iga, I guess, it's that like you were able to adjust. Like, okay, in Madrid she had 2 3-set matches, but in Rome she had 3 sets matches. Like all of her matches are like 2 straight sets. So I guess that just shows that she has the ability to adjust, especially if you compare the final score from Rome to Madrid. In Madrid, she won the first set 7-5, lost the second 4-6, won the 3rd set in a tiebreak of 9-7. They both had match points. However, in Rome's final, Iga again played against Sabalenka, but she won that match easily. She completely dominated with a score of 6-2 and 6-3. And like the stat I want to point out is they both had 7 break points. However, Iga Swiatek is able to convert 4 out of 7, whereas Aryna haven't converted any of those. And if we move that situation to on clay, I feel like, especially at Roland Garros, I feel like she's sort of more comfortable than anyone is there, just because she's obviously a tournament winner. So I feel like it's going to be really interesting, and I really hope that it will be a challenge for the players, because to be honest, I want to see some challenges. I don't want to see that like a player just consistently winning, you know, because that's just not the fun of it in a way. Okay, now we'll talk about the men's side, because well, there's so much stuff going on, and oh my gosh, I feel like this year the script has completely flipped. Before we're like, okay, it's Nadal versus Djokovic in the final, or Sinner or Alcaraz. However, everything is being more and more just like weird. So Novak, okay, I feel like it is important to talk about this, but I just want to make sure that this is my opinion and my opinion only. Okay, so Novak, he played in Rome. However, after his second round win, he got hit by a water bottle, which, okay, on the video you can see it slipped out accidentally from a fan's backpack when like this. Okay, if you've been into a tennis stadium before, or just any stadium in general, you know that like the players come out of a certain entrance, and if you're like sitting above it, when the players go over you to sign, you have to lean down, so like the players have to reach up, and it's like kind of high compared to the other places, because the other places just sort of like leveled, but if you're like sitting on top of the entrance, you have to lean down. And the fan had a backpack on, so he was leaning down, and then the water bottle just slipped and fell on Novak's head, and he was immediately on the ground. He was clenching his head, and he actually got like medical staff, and he actually was kind of bleeding. However, he said he was fine, and he also made it clear that it was a total accident. So, and then he played his match against Tabilo in the third round, but he was just completely off. I don't know what happened. Some people claimed it was the head injury, but he did take a concussion test, he wasn't concussed. So we don't know what's wrong, but he said that he was completely just off balance and everything went wrong. So I don't know what's happening with him, but I just feel like, okay, because of this, he sort of is trying to find his foot again. So he enrolled in Geneva, which is a 250 tournament, which is sort of unlike him, but I feel like it's really good move for him because he really needs a lot of practice in. And for Rafa, to be honest, I just think that he said the positive thing is he will be flying to Paris to see if he can play, which is at least a good thing, because in a press conference he said that I'm not even sure if he's going to go to. He said he's not even sure if he's going to go to Paris anymore, but at least he's going to travel there, so it's a good sign. And I really want to see him play again. Okay, now I want to talk about the other seeds who you guys might be like, okay, Novak is out, Rafa isn't performing well, but there's other people like Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Daniil Medvedev, Zverev. Yes, I admit, there's a lot of people, but okay, you guys will understand. So Jannik Sinner, I'm not even sure if he's going to participate in Roland Garros because he had an injured hip, and I saw on Twitter that basically because of his hip issue, his medical care professionals are like, if you choose to participate, it might become a chronic illness. So he's not really sure, and if I get a certain news if he's gonna I will get the news probably next week, so I will mention if he's going to participate or not participate. Okay, and then Carlos Alcaraz, his whole arm is bandaged up, it looks horrible, I don't know what's wrong, just all of them are injured, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Daniil Medvedev, he's not really a clay sort of person, he's more of a hard court specialist, so this will be interesting to see how he will do, because a lot of the top players are injured or are not performing that well. The players now I feel have a chance, but normally they won't have a chance, and these players are Andrei Rublev, Casper Ruud, and Stefanos Tsitsipas. So of course Casper actually I feel surprised everyone by losing in Rome in round 2, I'm pretty sure, but that was wasn't because I feel he's been performing really steadily for this entire season, so everyone expected him to continue that, but he just lost. He actually won that first set with a bagel, however he lost the second two 4-6, 4-6. But regardless, I feel he has a great chance because he gained a lot of confidence by winning a 500 title. He also beat Djokovic, which is probably a huge confidence boost for him. The other few players are Andrei Rublev and Stefanos Tsitsipas. So Rublev, he haven't been playing super well, but he actually won Madrid. So I feel it's just, if you win a big 1,000 tournament leading up to Roland Garros, of course you're at your best. So I feel he has a chance at a bigger stage, especially with the players who are sort of seeded better than him injuring themselves. Well, not injuring themselves, but they're injured. And then Stefanos Tsitsipas. So I feel Steph, at first of his season, or the end of last season sort of, he just hasn't been performing well. He was out of the top 10, I believe. However, I feel he's slowly finding his footing again, because he did beat Casper in 1,000. I'm pretty sure it was Monte Carlos. He beat Casper Ruud. So he was in a final, he won a Masters title. So I feel all of these players are capable of winning a Grand Slam, especially with all of the other players not performing that well. However, the one player that I do want to mention that I think might actually win it all is Alexander Zverev. Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I just feel because all of the other players are out, and he's actually the higher seeded players out of everyone else I mentioned, apart from Medvedev, Alcaraz, Sinner, and Djokovic. I just feel he has a better chance, especially because he is playing in a room final against Nicolas Jarry tomorrow, so I feel like it just shows that he's on the top of his game, which is something we really need right now from a top seeded player. So that's why I was saying that the draw, or like the who can win Roland Garros for the men's side, is completely open. Like, we seriously do not know who might win this, because honestly, both the Rome and Madrid Open said a lot. Like, I didn't expect, okay, for example, in Rome, I did not expect Nicolas Jarry. Don't get me wrong, he's an incredible player, but I did not expect him to make it to the final. In Rome, I did not expect in Madrid, I did not expect Auger-Aliassime to make it to the final, but at the same time, he received a lot of withdrawals, but it wasn't because of his fault, but like, I just didn't expect it. And I feel like there's just a lot of players that's like sort of interesting. Like, they can have the potential. For example, just random names, Lorenzo Musetti, he's like a really good clay court player, and even though he's like not been performing well, he's ranked number 29, but I feel like he has a serious chance of making a deeper run, including like players that's ranked sort of higher, like Grigor Dimitrov or Alex Siminor. They're both incredible players. They had incredible seasons. I think even though clay might not be their best surface, I feel like just because of how like open the whole Roland Garros draw is, I feel like they have a chance of beating top players. And then we have like other players. So for example, we have players who rose, such as Felix Auger-Aliassime and Tabilo and Nicolas Jarry. So okay, Felix, he is incredible. He's super talented. However, he just haven't been performing well, but he made it to Madrid final, so a lot of spotlight will be on him. And then Nicolas Jarry and Tabilo beat Novak with a score of 6-2, 6-3. So obviously, if you beat Novak with that score, like such dominance, all of the spotlight is going to be on you for sure. And then we have Jarry, who surprised everyone, I feel like, by making it to the final. So I'm really interested to see how he will perform. But the next player I want to talk about is Medvedev. I kind of briefly mentioned him of him not being super equipped on clay, but I just want to say that we don't know that for sure, because he did win a title on clay like last year, and even though his like record in Roland Garros is just like bad compared to the other ones, like the other surfaces, however, I just feel like with all of the other players sort of not performing super well, it's a great chance for players like him to, if he's like up to that level, he will disregard his like sort of like, I don't know, like hate is a strong word, but his dislike for clay, and just go out there and hope for the best, because while he's ranked the highest out of the other ones were like injured or like, yeah, so I feel like it's a great chance for him to sort of prove himself. He might not make it to the final or win this tournament, but if he make it to the semifinal, I'd say it's a huge improvement for him. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, this is a short one. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I guess this is really short, but I have if the draw comes out, I will be linking it to my Substack newsletter. So next week next week when you get my newsletter, you will receive my Roland Garros preview. So just a sneak peek into what it has. It has like some upsets that I predicted and some like road to the final for like seeded players, and I also have like matches that I enjoy in like the first few rounds for like potential matchups, so, and like potential upsets. So if you guys want that, please make sure to subscribe. It will be linked in my description. Anyways, if you guys can't find it, if you go to my show notes and click on my link tree, it has all the link linked, so you guys can click on whichever you want. It have my social media, social media, newsletter, podcast platforms, just whatever. And last thing, I have not been active on Twitter just because schoolwork. I just finished all my tests, guys. I'm so happy, but I promise I will be more active from now on. So I have to be active, I feel like, during Roland Garros, just because there's so much stuff for me to talk about. So please be on the lookout for that. So go follow me there. I'll be posting some just random thoughts about tennis, especially about the Roland Garros when it is happening. And yeah, if you want to reach me anywhere, just like, I don't know, leave a comment on the podcast, or just if you're listening on YouTube, comment below. If you're like following me on Instagram and Twitter, just don't be afraid to shoot me a DM on Substack as well. You can shoot me a DM there. And yeah, that sums up today's episode. I hope I'll see you guys next week. Bye.